Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. We've got our favorite video of each and every weekday ready for you guys, a player props vid on a 6-game Wednesday night slate here in the NBA. Plenty of games to choose from, not that many props available. Some guys in and out of the lineup, so make sure you are staying on thelines.com as well, checking out who's coming in and out of those lineups all the way up until game time. Nate has his great article up on playpicks.com with some best bets and player props in there for you. And like and subscribe to that page. Check out the other couple game videos we have for you up tonight. And head over to thelines.com, as I mentioned. Also check out that player props tool we have available for you. Make sure you're getting the best juice available from odds makers on those NBA player props tonight. And head to play.thelines.com if you want a chance to win a $25 Amazon gift card there. Head to the NBA Daily Pick'em Challenge we have available there for you and get all of your picks correct. And we will send you that $25 Amazon gift card. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's play props. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, I'm going with a consistent superstar in terms of Luka Doncic. I guess his props are holding steady just because of the situation, but I have learned not to overlook Detroit in terms of keeping games close. The Mavs are minus 8.5 at Detroit here, but Detroit's 17-1-1 against the spread. I'm sorry, 17-0-2. They haven't failed to cover. They have 2 pushes in their last 19 as underdogs. Covered in 6 of their last 8 is at home as well. And they've done a good job limiting points to point guards, but they're giving up a lot of peripherals in their last 30 games. 3rd most rebounds, 6th most assists to point guards. So if you want Luka's whole stat package, that might be safer to go 48.5 PRA or 29.5 points. Both are just minus 104 at FanDuel, which again, I don't really understand why we're thinking he's inconsistent in any way. He's got 32 plus points at 5 straight with a 40% usage rate, also averaging 9 rebounds, 10 assists in that span. So that definitely gets you to over 50 PRA if he hits that average, averaging 34, 9 and 10 assists in his career against Detroit. So again, over 50 PRA, 30 plus points in all 4 of those games. Again, a 40% usage rate. So really, it's just a question of, will the Mavs be tested a little bit? And I'm willing to bet that they are. Mavs actually have the 4th worst defensive efficiency in their last 3 games. So they're kind of turning into more of a fun team than we're used to betting in the beginning of the season, where they just played slow, didn't have a ton of stats piling up. Now they got 3 guards who can do a lot of stuff, and Luka is the king of doing stuff.
Doing stuff for sure. I think you could even consider a Luka Doncic triple-double perhaps, and maybe a win in there as well if you think he'll be able to get those stats up. Over there on FanDuel, probably some pretty good money, although I'm not seeing it right now. I imagine that'll be available. If you want to continue to underlook and give value to Luka's props, I'm happy to continue to oblige as well. So I'll follow you there, and I'll actually move on to another guy for our second one who's always will be forever linked to Luka, and that is Trae Young, as they obviously got traded for each other there on draft day. Trae is playing at home tonight against the Wizards, who have given up, as they're now out of even getting into the playoff game, play in game rather. Points and assists for Trae tonight stands at 40.5 combined, minus 110 at DraftKings there. Could also look at a double-double if you do think he is going to get 10 assists, which we are essentially saying we like. If you do think he's going to get that 40.5 points and assists, he can get the 31, 32, but he'll get close to, if not 10 assists tonight to get you to that prop. It's actually only minus 110 in a win for him to get that double-double and the win rather in that prop there. But in his last 8, he's averaging more than 10, 11 assists per game, about 31 points on a 33.5% usage rate. And he has just become the offense at this point, with a lot of guys coming in and out. Consistently now he's had Bogdan back for a bit and Huerter, and Capella has been back, still not having the best season of his life for sure. The point is that usage rate stands at 34 or so percent over the last 8 because that's who they need to be scoring right now. And Washington's just bad on defense on top of really just being, a team, like I said, that's just laying down at this point. But in his last 7 versus Washington, we're talking about 32 points a game or so, 9 assists and a 35% usage rate. So obviously there's not much defense there for Washington to stop Trae from just keeping the ball and getting his tonight. So 40.5 points and assists seems great. He could easily score 35 tonight, and that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, it's the assists that have really impressed me, dropping 15 dimes at Toronto last night, averaging 12.2 assists over his last 6 games. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that John Collins is out and Gallinari's been either out or playing a limited role. Really changes the way the Hawks play in terms of let's get it, let's run, let's put the ball in Trae's hands, let him make decisions. It's just such a high assist rate at that point because everyone who's shooting a 3, it's coming off his hands. Every time Capella's scoring, it's coming off his hands. So, yeah, I definitely would want to combine the assists there. Even though Washington's put up pretty good numbers against point guards this season, I mean, so is Toronto. And again, 15 dimes against that defense really is the reason I'm willing to ride with Trae again.
Yeah.
In that Celtics Bulls game, we got some more news about that. If you did watch our game video, gotta like the over even more now that we know that Zach LaVine is in with that knee and Alex Caruso is doubtful. So Bulls defense going to struggle even more. Jason Tatum has not had the best numbers recently against the Bulls, specifically this season, been pretty quiet, but he's in a zone right now to the point that I'm willing to trust him to get 29 points at nearly even money. He's averaging 29, 6 rebounds, 5.5 assists. With the team posting a 130 offensive rating in their last 9, the Celtics as a team dropping 30 assists in that span. The Bulls as a team giving up 29 assists in their last 3 with a 127 defensive rating. So a lot to like about the Celtics offense, and Tatum is the focal point of that. We also talk about Nikola Vucevic not being able to guard pick and roll. Tatum runs the most pick and rolls for the C's. So in addition to his points, if you're going to take a bonus, I would take the 6 assists for Tatum at plus 240. Just some good juice there. Look, he's had 6 dimes in 5 of his last 6 games. Celtics are sharing the ball so well that I like that to be a barometer for their success in terms of if Tatum's making plays, they're going to win. I would also look at their team total now that we know exactly the situation for the Bulls, who are on a back-to-back. And, I think they'll be piling up points here in Chicago.
Yeah, no, I concur. I like the Tatum assists a lot as well. I mentioned that in the game video that I would really like to find a nice player performance double for the C's in this one to just chop down that 7.5 point spread or so. That does make me a bit nervous in Chicago, but I do like the C's to pull this one out. And there are a couple guys that I think we can target like Tatum and his assists specifically. So finishing things off here with another star. We're just full of superstars, honestly, in this one here. Playoff P, Paul George. He's been back for 3 games. He's missed 1 since he's come back. That the Clippers actually scored 153 points against the Bucks in a game that PG sat. But obviously, everyone was sitting for the Bucks as well. Well, at least, and especially Giannis in that one. But in this one, playoff P coming up against the Suns, who we don't know who's going to play. It's still likely they could play all their guys, but I think if we're trying to read between the lines here in terms of the Suns, being happy with the fact that they've now got the most wins in franchise history, they've got the number 1 seed locked up throughout the entire tournament, even when they get to the finals. And I think there's not much reason for them to play a guy like Devin Booker or especially Chris Paul more than roughly 15, 20, 25 max, but probably 20-ish minutes in this game. In playoff P, Paul George is going to keep playing. Like he's got to get back into form and continue to do so. Though the Clippers are looking at the 8 seed as their seed at this point. Really, they're not in jeopardy of falling worse than that, but they can't catch the Timberwolves either. So they are in the play-in game, but like I said, they need to get that rhythm back. And like we said, Paul George only being back for 3 games. He has played 30 minutes a game, which is a good showing at this point. About 24 points a game in that time frame. His prop is at 23.5 points tonight. I also really like the assist, probably even more at 4.5, minus 110 at DK there at DraftKings. You could also consider the 2.5 threes. I think I'm really saying I like the assists and the threes more than anything. The 2.5 threes as he's been hitting. If you get over that, we're still talking about minus 125 or so on your money there on DraftKings for him. In his last 3 3 versus Phoenix. He's averaging about 5.7 made threes on 9 attempts for a 61% clip there, averaging 32 points a game as well and 4 assists in that time frame against Phoenix. And then since his return, I mean, it's been really similar numbers actually. Four threes, more than 4 threes made a game on about 8 attempts at 52% from 3, 35% usage rate. He's had 5+, which means he's hit this prop in all 3 of the games that he's been back, 5, 6, and 7 assists in the 3 games. And you know, it's just really propelled the Clippers offense entirely. They're a completely different looking team with Paul George, which is not surprising to say, but they've got the most points in the league in the games, in the 4 games, even since he's been back, missing one of them as well. And then they are also dishing out the 3rd most assists as a team, which is on the season they were about bottom 10 before PG came back. So a lot to like about his assists in this one and made threes.
Yeah, I agree with you that those are the bets to target. I would steer away from the points because he did come up short. I think he's still on a minutes limit. You know, they went to overtime with Chicago and he just wasn't out there down the stretch. He needed one more bucket to get us over that prop, and he wasn't playing down the stretch. So that made me a little reluctant to take a bulk stat like points. But those other props are pretty low. As you mentioned, he's been hitting them routinely, and he has killed the Suns, who have nothing to play for right now. So even if they don't rule anybody out, maybe Mikal Bridges is only going to play 19 minutes or something. You never really know. I have no problem sprinkling on that. I do think you can go back to the well and go with Kyrie Irving to score 28 at MSG or Durant to get 30, because the Nets, those guys are going to be out there playing heavy minutes even on a back-to-back. There's plenty to look at here on the 6-game slate once we know exactly what's going to happen with injuries.
And that's the interesting thing, right? Like, I would love to target some stuff in this Phoenix Suns Clippers game. There's nothing up literally except for Paul George props right now as we are recording this at about 1 p.m. on the day of. He's the only guy even available, but I still think those 2 stats props specifically, 2.5 made threes over that, over 4.5 assists as well. Really, really love both of those. Even consider a same game parlay if your bookie will allow it. So that is all the time we have for you on this one. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page. Got 3 total videos, including 2 other game videos up for you on this 6-game slate tonight. So until we see you next, happy betting.